Thursday, October 28th, 2021. It's 7 o'clock in the evening, and this is the Bolton Select Board meeting. First up on our agenda is the Neshoba Regional School Committee Regional Agreement Amendment Advisory Committee, RAAAC. This is has been established, I guess, by the school committee to look at and potentially update the regional agreement between the three towns, Bolton, Lancaster, and Stowe, and the Neshoba Regional School District. And a couple things we have on our agenda is first to review potential applicants to serve on that committee. Don, can you give us any additional background on
that? Yes, we have had two statements of interest that both are in your packet. One is from Brian Boyle, and one is from Omid, who also serves on the advisory committee, Omid Rony. And you have their statements of interest in your packets, and the hope was that we would have them here tonight to answer any questions that the board may have for them.
Gentlemen, do you have any questions of either Mr. Boyle or Mr. Garoni?
Yeah, Mr. Garoni, your letter of interest was brief. So I wondered if you could just give us a bit more about your background and your interest in this position.
Sure. I am a analyst supervisor for Department of Defense. One of my jobs is to put a government budget together and submit it to the Office of Budget and Management for the President's budget yearly for the Department of Defense in the laboratory section and acquisition section. I'm also a sustainer. I was for 15 years, worked for Department of Defense to provide build supply chain management, support operations, or build towns or basic life supports for different locations around the world. I moved to Bolton in 2019, in November of 2019. And I have two kids who are both attending schools in Neshoba Valley. And I would like to contribute to this community this way.
What grades are your children in?
My daughter just started kindergarten, and my son actually goes to Stowe because special needs.
Mm-hmm. And
he's sixth grade.
Sixth grade. Do you have any understanding of what this committee will be doing?
I have some understanding. If you guys, one of my questions was if you guys could elaborate some more on this, I would appreciate it.
I mean, the regional agreement is something that was constructed way back when the three towns decided to coalesce their individual school districts into a regional district, and it basically defines the mechanics of how that all works. It was crafted, I don't know, quite some time ago. In terms of the do's and don'ts and how the three towns and the district interact with one another relative to the governance of the district. So that's at least at a high level.
So Stan, you've served as selectman the longest. Do you see areas that need improvement in the agreement from your experience?
I've looked at the agreement quite some time ago, and now that the school committee is looking to amend that. I think there are certain areas in terms of, in particular, what the criteria might be for one or more towns to exit out of the agreement, representation, how things are viewed and voted on. I have yet to delve into the existing agreement in any detail, but I think it's long overdue. I mean, I think the agreement was crafted quite some time ago, and there really hasn't been much in terms of editing or updating or looking at the original agreement and whether or not it serves the interests of the three towns, at least at this point in time. So I think there's certainly that this is a good time, and I think we Bolton have asked for this for some time from the school committee to at least take a look at the agreement and see if things could be either improved or changed, streamlined, or whatever. So I don't have any specific proposals at the moment, but I think it's a great opportunity to look at the agreement and see whether or not it's meeting the needs of the three towns and how we can improve it.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Boyle, would you like to?
Yeah,
Sorry.
sure. I just I wanted to respond partially to Mr. Keep's question because I did want to share with you that it's my understanding that the entire regional agreement is going to be open to discussion and revision. And I think there are at least two areas that I'm particularly interested in. So one is the section on budget, which establishes like when the budget is due and some of the sort of information and communication that happens around the budget. I think we should discuss that. And then also the provisions related to the audit advisory committee, that's all spelled out in the regional agreement. And I think there may be some language in there that we would want to look at potentially to strengthen the oversight powers of that committee. But again, it's going to be obviously a big group discussion, but those are just a couple of things I think we want to look at.
Right.
I
No,
agree.
I would agree with those 2 points. I think they do need to be looked at and reviewed. Mr. Skansky, you raise your hand.
Yeah, a couple of other things is, this is partially the result of the reallocation of voting that occurred in the school district a couple of years ago. The state had to approve that, and in the course of doing that, they told the school district, your regional agreement's not up to current standards, so why don't you bring it up? And that's part of what's driving this. But the other part of this is that with a high school renovation or construction on the horizon, how the capital costs and how loans are paid could be a major portion of this discussion. From that perspective, a lot of the negotiation is not between the town of Bolton and the school district. It's between the town of Bolton and the other towns.
Yep. Yeah. Again, it was crafted a long time ago, and I think it is in dire need of some revamping. Any other questions, gentlemen, from either of you? Okay, well, I think we have two excellent candidates to bring forth. Obviously, we can only appoint one of the two. Personally, in my opinion, I think Brian. Nothing against Omen, but I think Brian, given his role as chairman of the advisory committee, and certainly close working with the town and certainly the school, of which their budget consumes a humongous portion of our town budget. I will move forward a motion that we appoint Brian Boyle as our representative to serve on the Neshoba Regional School Committee, RAAC committee.
I'll second that.
Do I have a second?
Oh, all right. I thought you were making the motion. Okay, I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a
Second.
second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Roll call, Sikansky,
aye.
Keep,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
Both Brian and Omen, we greatly appreciate you stepping forward. Obviously, we can only select one individual, and it's not to say that anyone is better or less than another, but we had to pick one. So again, Omen, thank you very much, and Brian, thank you very much for stepping up as well.
Thank you.
No, thank you
Thanks again.
guys. And
Okay.
no problem. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Please volunteer again, Ahmed.
Oh, he's already on advisory. We got
I
him.
know, but
We got him.
yeah, don't be discouraged. Stay interested.
Well, I have a proposal about this, which is a sub-bullet on the agenda for tonight under this topic. And that is that, again, we're negotiating with the other towns as much as we're negotiating with the school district. There's a bunch of regulations and rules that the chairman of this committee indicated need review. And I'm concerned that that might be too much for one person to absorb and work on. So, and this would, I'd like to get Brian's opinion on this. I know a couple of people, and I would be pleased if Omid would participate in this. Form an advisory group to help Brian wade through some of the issues that are going to be discussed and discovered in the next few months.
I actually think that's a great idea. I think we need to get some input from a number of individuals that will assist Brian to bring forth Bolton's position on this.
Do we want this to be a formal committee, or Brian, would you prefer it to be informal and not really appointed by the board?
I was actually, I didn't want to pass the buck to Mr. Lowe, but I do think some flexibility might be helpful. So I think if it's a formal subcommittee, that could be tough. But if there's a group of folks that I could collaborate with on these issues, but I would be happy to do it either way. I think it should be part of the process, whether it's a subcommittee or an informal group of advisors.
Don, if it's an advisory committee, does it have to adhere to all the open meeting laws and things like that? I just want to make, I'm sorry for interrupting, Don, but I would just like to make my opinion clear that the advisory committee is advising Brian. It's not going to be voting, telling him what to do.
So I guess I have to answer a question with a question, which is what I always hate when somebody does it to me. But I guess I need to understand better. I know what you said, but if you're looking for input from concerned and interested citizens to help assist Brian in formulating a strategy, then I think certainly the fairest way to do that is to advertise, which is what you always talk about when we're looking to fill vacancies. So whether it's I'm not as hung up on whether it's a subcommittee or an advisory committee, because it sounds like even if we call it an advisory committee, it's really, this would be formed at the request of the selectmen. So I think it's semantics, whether it's a subcommittee or an advisory committee. I would say that if the select board wanted to seek input, you have two options. One is to advertise and solicit volunteers, and then the board would appoint the subcommittee at the next meeting, which is November 18th. If it's more of a loose affiliation and you think Brian can just kind of gather input from various people that he may know that would have thoughts on this, then that's fine too. It's a matter of what it is that you're looking for out of this.
Maybe one option is I can go to the first meeting of the RAAC and then let you know whether I think it actually would be beneficial to have a formal subcommittee created, because then it wouldn't slow down my participation at that first meeting, but it would give us enough time to form one if we needed to before the next meeting.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that as well.
Yeah,
Yep.
whatever's best for you, Brian, at this point.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
All right,
All
yeah, so we'll let you go to the meeting and then you can report back to us as to what you might or might not need. That
Sure, I
works?
saw Omid has his hand up too, sorry.
Yes, Owen.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I 100% agree with Brian, everything he said. So,
Okay.
but if you need anything from me, I'm always available. And you guys can let me know.
Okay,
Thank
super.
you.
Thanks,
Super.
everyone.
Thank you.
Okay,
Good
so,
night.
so we'll let you go to the meeting and then you can report back to us. That sounds great. Okay,
Sounds good.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All
Thank
right.
you.
Next up is a sign request, a request for permission to place a Botox and dermal fillers ageless enhancement LLC signs located at the signboard and on the building at the Neshoba Park office complex located at 1092 Main Street. Elizabeth Riley. Are you with us, Elizabeth? It does not look like she is here.
Now, someone's attempting to speak, but she's
She-
muted.
Yep.
Here
Oh,
she
can you
is.
hear me? Oh,
Yep.
hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. So tell us what you're attempting to do at 1092 Main.
So I had signed a lease back in June to rent a space there. I just do medical aesthetics there, pretty much part-time. I have a full-time job at the federal prison, but I'm there basically a few evenings a week and then on the weekends. And so I rented the space from Brandon, I believe Desharmy, who owns the building. So the sign I put up, I didn't realize I needed a permit at the time. They put it up sometime in July. They put it right over his existing sign. So it was the same exact measurements, front and back on the road, and then on the entrance to the door, which is in the back of the building. But it came to my attention that I needed to pull a permit for it. So I apologize, it's a little late, but
Oh, that's okay. So, Mr. Lowe, we have the permit in hand and the building inspector has done his thing with it.
I believe he has, yes.
Okay, well, I've seen the sign. I'm fine with it. Just as long as, you know, we've gone through the proper channels and procedures to do that, I'm fine with the sign. Gentlemen, do you have any questions?
Nope.
Oh, it's
Okay,
fine.
well, then I'll
I
take a
move-
motion to approve.
I move we approve the sign for Botox and dermal fillers ageless enhancements LLC at 1092 Main Street.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Roll call, Sikansky,
Aye.
Keep,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth.
great, thank you guys so much.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
know it's a little pomp and circumstance, but
No,
we're good.
I apologize. I didn't
That's okay.
realize I had
That's
to
okay.
do
That's
that
okay.
ahead of time.
All right.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Well, good luck on your business.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is an update on the dangerous dog update at 79 Lancaster Road. Animal Control Officer Phyllis Tower, are you with us?
I don't see Phyllis in attendance and I wasn't sure that she actually needed to come tonight as we've made good progress on both dog issues on 79 Lancaster Road. The Danahers have ordered everything. Most of the material is in. I believe they're awaiting one thing.
Okay.
And they intend to install it as soon as they can.
Okay.
And the appeal period has passed.
Okay.
So they're making their efforts to comply.
Okay, good, good. So we'll wait to hear from the animal control officer when she gets around to taking a look at it again when it's complete. All right, then. All right, having no more information on that, we'll move ahead to the next agenda item, which is a dangerous dog update for 42 Fox Run Road.
I did send an update out to the board earlier this week. I believe at this point, everything has been done in an effort to be compliant. We're taking another look at the flooring, but it's not that the flooring is not compliant, just a possible way to improve it a bit. What Mr. Newman has made his efforts and appears to be in compliance. He also has the insurance, and the dog has been chipped, and he has the muzzle, he has the leash, and he has withdrawn his appeal from Clinton
Okay.
District Court. So
Good.
I believe we're in good shape there.
Okay, all
And
right.
both situations will be monitored.
Okay.
I mean, I shouldn't say monitored, but if there's any new incidents at either location, then obviously the parties will be back in front of the board.
Sounds good. All right, then. Thank you very much, Mr. Lowe.
Thank
All right,
you.
next up on our agenda is Goodleaf Holdings at 58 Main Street, host community agreement, HCA negotiation update from the town administrator. Mr. Lowe, you're back up on the podium.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The negotiating team consisting of town council, Brian Falk and myself, were tasked by the by the select board to go off and negotiate a potential host community agreement with Goodleaf LLC. Ben James and his attorney have been representing Goodleaf LLC. We have had 5 very substantive meetings. We've got into, pretty deep detail in those meetings. I have to say that I do believe that Goodleaf has shown very good faith in these negotiations. They've heard the concerns that Brian and I have brought forward on behalf of the residents and the board and the select board. Brian and I have done our best to address those. I think that Goodleaf has done their best to address those. Yesterday afternoon, I sent a host community agreement to the board that Brian and I are recommending that the board consider and approve, because I do believe it addresses all of the points that were raised. It addresses as best we can noise. It addresses water. It addresses odor, and as was made clear in the past, there is no appetite for retail at this point, and there is no retail component to this agreement. So from the perspective of the negotiating team, we have brought forward what we believe is a very fair deal for the town and for Goodleaf.
Okay. And Mr. Lowe, my understanding and in past meetings, the basis of the agreement we started with was the agreement that we actually had concluded with a prior applicant, Integrated Health, of which the board voted at that point in time to approve and sign. And it was Integrated Health that unfortunately backed out of the deal. But basically, the basis of the HCA that we're working with now was that prior HCA that we had negotiated and approved, with obviously the points that you brought forth, with some additional language dealing with the well and water issues, the noise issues, and as well as the odor issues. Is that correct?
It is. I should have made that point right up front. What we did, and we thought it would be the most expedient all the way around, because what Goodleaf is proposing is very, very similar to what Integrated Health Products and Ted Rebols proposed. We made relatively minor, minor modifications. We didn't make a lot of edits. The edits that we made were important, as I said, to sound and to water. And the greatest difference of all is the community impact fee, where Integrated Health Products proposed a $20,000 annual flat fee, whereas we negotiated with Goodleaf a community impact fee to be paid quarterly, which would represent 2.5% of the gross sales of Integrated Health Products, which, based on the pro forma that we've worked from, we're looking at a range on an annual basis of between $370,000 and $740,000. So significantly more beneficial to the town. But yes, in late 2019, the board voted unanimously to and signed that community host agreement that later Integrated Health Products, due to business issues that they had, it had nothing to do with the town of Bolton, withdrew from the process. So yes, that is what we worked from, and we built up from there.
Okay. And also for everyone who's dialed in, just so to set the stage, the HCA agreement, and if the board decides to vote in favor of this and execute this, this does not guarantee that Goodleaf Holdings will ever be able to establish their business in the town of Bolton. This is just the first step to allow Goodleaf to then apply to the state for the facility in Bolton. And in parallel with that, while the state's dealing with their issues with Goodleaf, there will be a special permit process that has to go on in the town of Bolton. And various boards and committees that are involved in buildings and whatnot will have to weigh in, including, Conservation Commission, Planning Board, ZBA, if that's necessary. So the signing of the HCA does not give Goodleaf an automatic into the town. There's a whole additional set of processes that will continue after that. But I've reviewed the document, and given the fact that it is a document that is based upon something that we thoroughly reviewed and vetted the last time with Integrated Health, and we have listened to the citizens, especially the folks at Bolton Woods Way, to address their concerns relative to the well, the water, the noise, and the odor. I think, to Don's point, I think we have crafted at least an initial HCA that will satisfy those needs, at least at this point in time.
Yeah, and you made a good point also that I should have made, Mr. Chairman. The final arbiter in whether or not Goodleaf can open such a facility is the Cannabis Control Commission, but they would have no standing to go before the Cannabis Control Commission for consideration without an HCA.
Right. So.
Could I make a point of order before we go too much farther here?
Sure.
The agenda for tonight's meeting does not include a discussion on this topic, nor does it include a vote. And it seems that we're discussing it an awful lot. I thought the agenda item is just an update from the town administrator, and it makes sense to have some follow-up questions there, but we seem to be going astray from that.
No, I disagree. Clearly, an update includes discussion. An update is back and forth. It is synonymous with discussion, and discussion in and of itself is sufficient to result in a vote. Certainly a discussion and an update go together, and it is a logical inference from any discussion that a vote may take place. That's standard law, and it's something that this board does all the time.
It's true.
I don't remember the last time we got a quote unquote update from the town administrator and then took a vote on it.
And my response to that is, A, if there had been a concern I would have appreciated hearing that in advance, but be that as it may, there is no such thing as an update without discussion. I can't remember ever updating the board without getting questions or comments back, and that constitutes a discussion.
Well, in that case, I object to taking a vote tonight for 3 specific reasons. One is the average person looking at this agenda would not know that there's going to be a discussion and a vote on this. So the general public's at a disadvantage. The second is, and I had a discussion with you, Don, on a separate subject on Monday, and there was nothing about a vote coming up this week on it.
That's because we didn't finish negotiations until Tuesday.
Good, thank you. Which brings me to the next point, which is that this was just released yesterday, and I haven't had the time to go over it. I'm sorry, I couldn't just drop everything and wade through this and then pursue follow-up questions. So I haven't had a chance to go through this. The third is, short time ago, a few weeks ago, this board set a standard for when documents need to be produced for the selectmen to review. And that was that the documents have to be available Monday afternoon. I think it's 1 o'clock. And if the board is going to now disregard that, not for a resident, not for a not-for-profit benefiting the town, but for commercial enterprise that has no connection to the town, I think they need to understand why people are not, if the board's not going to respect its own rules, I don't think they can expect the general public to do that.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to respond to that.
And finally,
Dave,
let me
please.
make one more point. In the past years, when we've had an HCA that's being considered, we've made it public and then had a meeting to allow the public to respond to that. I think we should do that again also. Thank you.
So in response to the policy that was recently voted, Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, I totally disagree that this goes against the policy. That was put in place specifically because we had a series of incidents where there was materials that the board had not seen before, and trying to get ahead of things, trying to make sure that the board is not being given a packet of new material and that you don't have sufficient time to review new material. This is not new material. This material is 2 years old and it has literally 3 edits to it. So I don't believe it goes against the policy in any way.
I would agree with Mr. Lowe. I mean, this document is substantially the same document that we reviewed and approved and executed 2 years ago. There are literally 3 edits in this document.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Lowe. You know, we went through this process, and my recollection is that the abutters, you know, liked the proposal at the time. There might have been, you know, 2 or 3 people who objected, but overall, they supported it. And what I've been impressed with by New Leaf is they've gone farther than the first applicant. They have specific dedicated independent engineers for smell, for noise, for water. We didn't have that the first time. So we've really gained by, you know, in the last 3 years, we've gained, you know, I think the applicant has gained from the experience of the industry. They've done their due diligence, and, you know, I support this HCA, and I'm prepared to vote on it tonight.
I mean, we have listened to the residents over multiple meetings. We have added language to the HCA to address their concerns. I think we have tasked both the town administrator and our town council to come up with an HCA that's as advantageous to the town as possible, and I think they've done that. And again, as I stated earlier, this by no means gives Good Leaf carte blanche to start operations in the town of Bolton. They still have to go through. This is basically the ability for Good Leaf to apply to the state. They have to go through the whole process with the Cannabis Control Commission. And then we have the whole special permit process going through the town. So I'm perfectly satisfied with the document as it stands. It's a document that we have been very familiar with. There are only a couple of edits. And I'm also prepared to vote this evening.
Let me remind the board that we recently extended the town administrator's contract. That's a 2-page document with a lot fewer numbers in there. And we had more time to review that prior to a meeting and a vote than you're providing tonight.
Mr. Sikansky, you've had plenty of time to review that document. And you had time.
It just came yesterday.
Mr. Sikansky, the document is not substantially different than what we've had over the past 2 years. There are 3 minor additions to that document.
Well, I would not have gone and read a 2-year-old document and wasted my time doing that, expecting that it would be that there'd be almost no changes to it. So there was no reason to go back and review that.
That's your choice, Mr. Sikansky.
I guess I would just like clarification from the board, because the board, I thought, tasked the negotiating team to listen to the concerns that have been expressed, go off and negotiate the best deal we could, and then bring back a host community agreement for consideration and ratification. And that's how negotiating works. You can't go off into 5 negotiating meetings, come back with a document, and then go back and revisit the basis upon which the negotiations are held, and say, and introduce new concerns at the last minute. That in most cases would be considered to be bad faith negotiating.
That hasn't happened here.
That was one of the concerns you expressed to me, Mr. Sikansky, that you might find something you didn't like in the original agreement that you did previously, and you might want to change it.
It's 2 years old.
I agree.
I don't know what would change anyway. I don't know what they would change from a 2-year-old agreement. So I would look at this with an open mind, given the situation that we're in right now.
But in negotiations, the time for that is before negotiations start, not when they're about to conclude.
Mr. Lowe, are we under a time deadline where this can't wait 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks?
The town is not, the applicant is. But that's not my point. My point
Okay,
is,
well, my point is, there's no reason we have to vote on this tonight.
and
And
all
I
I'm
see
pointing
no
out,
reason why we
and all-
shouldn't vote on
all I'm
this.
pointing out is one of your concerns to me about waiting was you had not reviewed the document from beginning to end, and it wasn't limited to the edits that we brought back. So that you said you may or may not have concerns with the original document, and I'm saying it would be very late in the game to introduce new concerns. Because the negotiating team was tasked to deal with concerns expressed by the resident and the board when we started negotiations.
Okay,
Correct. And your failure to review that document is your failure, not the failure of this board.
I don't think, all right. There's a new document. We're not signing a 2-year-old document. We're signing a document that's about 36 hours old. That's the document that needs to be reviewed and discussed and approved. And there hasn't been time to do that.
You haven't had time to do that.
I haven't had time to do that. It just showed up in an email middle of yesterday afternoon. Yes.
And it's a 10-page document, Mr. Sikansky. And
Yes.
there are 3 minor edits.
You don't see those till you read the whole thing, but okay, it's a 10-page document.
Again, I will point out that the town council highlighted the 3 edits for the selectmen so that you didn't have to try to go back and find them in the document. So town council outlined for the board each and every change in that document.
There's still no justification for not delaying this vote.
You know, a lot of businesses come before us and we try to expedite signs, other things, because we want to help them get going. New Leaf has faced a lot of scrutiny, a lot of questions, a lot of comments, and they still have like 4 more hoops to jump, 4 or 5. So we need to move this forward if it's going to be successful.
Can I ask the select board a question? You scheduled this for 7:40, this discussion, and you would have, if Mr. Sagansky hadn't come up with his objections, you would have agreed on an HCA tonight before any of us had logged on. I just happened to log on early. And now the HCA, I don't think.
Who
we had
is this? Who is this
This is
person?
Bob Gardella. Unfortunately, I don't have my, I didn't know last time I tried to raise my hand, I didn't know how to do it. Now I don't know how to do it. I just had to stop and say, it's 7:40. Come on, guys. Just for that reason alone, you shouldn't agree with, sign up for this now. I've been muted. Okay, fine.
For the record, no one was muted.
Are we taking comments or are we gonna, are you looking for a motion?
Well, we have had multiple meetings and we have heard the comments and the concerns from the citizens, especially those from Bolton Woods Way. And we have tasked the town administrator and our town council to go and negotiate a HCA agreement to deal specifically with the concerns of the well and the water, the noise and the odor, which are addressed in the HCA. I don't believe that there's anything new we're going to be hearing from the citizens at this point in time, except the same things that we've heard before, which are certainly valid. But hearing the same things over and over again is not going to do anything else. We have heard them loud and clear.
This is Bob Gardella again. Let me read you something that Don sent to me on the 15th. There will be nothing, when I asked him about when the HCA will be available, there will be nothing ready for review until the select board meeting of October 28th at a minimum. It is possible it could take longer, but the 28th is my best estimate. He sent that email to me.
That's true, Mr. Chairman. I absolutely did. And today is the 28th.
I asked about a draft HCA, and that's what I was asking, as if would there be when there would be time to review it, as there was for the previous applicant.
Mr. Gardella, the townsfolk don't get a say in suggesting changes to the HCA. I'm sorry to have to say that, but that's the way it works.
Didn't work that way the last
And
time.
as I have stated, signing the HCA or voting to sign the HCA does not give Good Leaf any standing to do anything in Bolton. It just allows.
You said most of that at about 7:30, when no one else but me was on.
Mr. Gardella, our meeting starts at 7 o'clock.
Oh, I get that.
Whether individuals decide to participate in the meeting and join the meeting or not, I have no control over that. I have absolutely no control over that whatsoever. These meetings are posted, they're advertised, the agendas are posted way in advance. So please don't throw that in my face that, oh, we started at 7:30. If people want to participate, they can participate. No one's making these meetings secret and hidden. So please do not throw that in my face.
Mr. Chairman, just to remind any attendees who may not be regular attendees of any town meetings, board meetings, the agendas are a best estimate as to when a discussion will take place. It is not at all unusual for an agenda item to be heard earlier than the posted estimated time. The only times when agenda items are fixed is if it's a specific public hearing that has
That's
to be
correct.
started not before a certain time.
That is correct. I believe we have heard the concerns from the citizens and from the folks at Bolton Woods Way. We have tasked our town council and our town administrator to craft an HCA that addresses those concerns, and I believe we've done that. And unless there's any further question from any other members of the board, I am willing to entertain a motion to accept the HCA and execute it.
I will make a motion to approve the HCA agreement with Goodleaf Holdings, 58 Main Street.
I will second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed?
I have not reviewed the document. I am not making a statement about the comment. I'm not making a statement about its content, but I am voting no due to the process
Thank you.
or
Mr.
lack of
Sikansky.
process.
Thank you, Mr. Sikansky.
Roll call, Sikansky,
No,
Keep,
Yay.
Waisaki.
Aye.
All right,
Thank
gentlemen, if you would come in tomorrow, if possible, or Saturday at the latest to come in and sign the document, it would be appreciated.
can we authorize the chairman to sign it on behalf of the whole board?
I believe you can. I don't believe it requires a majority. I don't have it in front of me.
I believe the way it's drafted now has your name on it, Don, if they were to appoint you to sign it.
Okay, then that's right.
All
I
right, then
forgot that.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Mr. Lowe as the town administrator to sign on behalf of the selectmen for the HCA agreement with Goodleaf Holdings at 58 Main.
So moved.
I'll second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Roll call, Sikansky,
aye.
Keep,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the town administrator report. Don, you're up.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do not have new percentages tonight for the COVID stats. What I do have is we have 4 new cases in town this week. We had 3 new ones last week. We had 2 new ones the week before. So over the past 2 weeks, we've had 1 new case each week. I'm still unclear as to how the state will be capturing how they're capturing people getting boosters. So I think the format's got to be changing soon as more and more people are getting boosters, and we'll certainly see percentages change, I assume, downward, because they're just now starting to approve, I believe it's Pfizer, for ages 5 and up. So there's going to be a whole new category of residents who will be eligible that have not been eligible previously. Next, before I get to the grant update, I did want to give you, I just got this yesterday, just some information on the Devon's Regional Hazardous Products Collection Center. Bolton has been a member of it for several years now. I'm going to say probably 9 or 10 years, and it has grown. I don't know if everybody knows this, but we now have Ashby, Air, Bolton, Clinton, Devens, Groton, Harvard, Lancaster, Littleton, Lunenburg, Pepperell, Shirley, Stowe, and Townsend as members. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 member communities now. And looking at fiscal year 2022 statistics, we're roughly halfway through now because the center is open March through December, closed for January and February. As far as the number of attendees go, in the 14 communities, Bolton ranks number 5. So we're the only towns ahead of us in that area are Groton, Harvard, Littleton, and Lunenburg. And as far as number of gallons brought up there, we're actually number 4. We're only behind Groton, Littleton, and Lunenburg. So the people of Bolton are making good use of this facility. And I just wanted to point out that for fiscal year 2021, the Devon's Household Hazardous Waste Collection Center, and I do sit on the admin board or the oversight committee, whatever we're called these days, generated an operating net income of $8,540 as a result of operating revenues of $137,713 versus operating expense of $129,173. And for what I believe is the 4th consecutive year we've been able to maintain our pricing. We haven't raised fees in 4 years.
That's great.
So I think we're providing a very valuable service to the community. It's open the first Wednesday and Saturday of every month. As I said, March through December, so that's 10 months. So there's 20 dates that people can go up. Before we joined this and before this collaborative was formed, Bolton did 1 recycling day every other year. And the cost of belonging to this, when we joined, I don't know if it's still true, but when we joined, to be able to have 20 possible days was cheaper than what it was costing the town to do it on its own once every 2 years. So I think it's been a really good value for the town. Next, but certainly not least, on the grant update, I am now extremely excited to announce that the embargo was lifted Tuesday on the news, and Bolton was awarded another MassWorks grant in the amount of $938,000 to redo the intersection at 117 and Forbush Mill Road and Green Road. And in other words, the intersection at the high school. So we're going to be able to redesign things down there. We're going to be able to make it an awful lot safer. The governor had an award ceremony yesterday in Charlton, not to be confused with Charlton, in Western Massachusetts. And as you know, our DPW director, Randy Heglin, led this effort. Yes, he had a good team to work with, but as with every grant, one person takes the lead. Randy took the lead on this one, and Randy went to the award ceremony yesterday and represented the town of Bolton. So my thanks to Randy and everybody else who supported the effort. There were a lot of people, and our thanks to the engineering firm that we worked with. But again, this is a major accomplishment, and the fiscal year only started in July. And already this fiscal year, the town of Bolton has received in the neighborhood of $1.4 million in grants. And I think that reflects extremely well on the staff.
Yep, absolutely, Don.
Yeah, that's like 5% of our total budget.
It really is. It really is.
That's really amazing. That's such great news. I just had a Neshoba parent, a junior driver. She asked me about the intersection and was there any news? And I told her to wait. And I think she and a lot of other parents will be really relieved and happy to hear that their kids can drive out of there safely and also cross over to Classic Pizza safely. That's
So
great.
it'll be a while, obviously, before we can get the process started, and we can't do anything. We can't incur any expenses until we have a signed contract with the state, which could take a minimum of 30 days, sometimes 60 days, depending. But we will move things forward as quickly as we can, and we'll certainly coordinate any activities with the school district.
That's great. That's great.
Congratulations, Don. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Yes. Congratulations to Randy and the people he worked with.
Yep, absolutely. Anything else, Don, on your report?
No, unless the board has any questions, that's all that I have.
All right, well, next up, we have select board business. Are there any public service announcements? Okay, no, nothing tonight.
I would just like to say on behalf of the town, as a public service announcement, my own thank you to all of Bolton's veterans and all veterans, not just Bolton's veterans. Veterans Day is coming up next week, and people give quite a bit of sacrifice, sometimes the ultimate sacrifice, to serve their country. And I think we all appreciate that service.
Absolutely. No, I wholeheartedly agree. All right, so next up is to review the liquor license fee comps. Mr. Lowe.
Yes, I sent an email out to the board earlier this week. I was asked to do an average of the comps of the fees that of the liquor fees specifically that we discussed at the previous meeting. It would appear that the all alcohol retail package store is right on the money, no pun intended. All alcohol on premises is virtually there. I think there was an $80 difference from the average of the comps. The wine and malt package store was about $236 lower. Wine and malt on premises was $438 lower, and the farmer's pouring license was $100 lower. We only had one comp to compare that to, which is understandable. So no wide discrepancies. You know, if you add everything up, it doesn't add up to $1,000. So I guess the board needs to decide whether or not you want to adjust any of these fees. You know, and I would point out that these are small businesses, you know, attempting to come out of a pandemic. So perhaps next year might be better timing to adjust the fees rather than this year, if you're interested in adjusting them. But that's just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, we're a little low on wine and malt package stores on premises and a little bit low on the farmer's pouring permit, but to your point, Don, we are coming out of a pandemic, and I'm personally more than happy to leave it the way they are and take a look at it, you know, a year from now.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so if we're not making any change, I would assume we don't need any motion to
That's correct.
do anything. So we'll just leave it as is. Okay. Sounds like a plan. Next up is to approve meeting dates through April 2022. And do we have in our packet what those dates are? Let's take a look.
You do.
Yes, we do.
In our first attempt, we thought we had avoided all of the school vacations. We were wrong.
Yeah.
I was wrong. There's no sense in saying we, because it was my fault. So I'm not going to drag Jenny into it. So, but we believe we've avoided that now with February 17th. We moved the February meeting back one week, but I think everything else is in good shape here. The board, you know, if you're ready to set the calendar, that's great. We did have it in the previous packet, so whatever the board.
So, yeah, I guess I looked up the 17th and I thought that was the vacation week, Jenny.
I thought it was too, Jonathan, but apparently it's not. Unless I'm wrong again. Benny, tell me if I'm wrong again, please.
Honestly, the first time I looked at the calendar, I thought the 17th was the school vacation week, but we revisited it. It's the next week. It's
Okay,
late in February this year.
It's the week after.
It
Okay.
is.
It just caught us by surprise because it's almost never the last week of the month.
Okay, all right, then I'll make a motion that we approve the dates of January 13th, January 27th, February 17th, March 10th, March 24th, April 7th, April 28th, and May 12th as the dates for remaining in 2022.
So moved.
Second,
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye,
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call Sikansky,
aye,
Keep,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, and then next up on our agenda is to review and approve the Class 2 license transfer. Don, you want to fill us in on what this particular item is?
Yes, as we try to explain, class 2 licenses are actually not allowed in Bolton, but this business existed prior to zoning, so it's a pre-existing non-conforming condition. The previous owner has sold, but the use can continue on with the site. We are working with town council to determine exactly what the current questions are that need to be answered on the form. Because we believe the form may or may not be out of date, but it hasn't been revised. It hasn't been reviewed in decades.
Okay,
So what we're seeking to, and we're also trying not to create a hardship for the business owner. So what we're seeking tonight, if the board is comfortable, is a vote conditionally authorizing the approval of the license as long as the applicant meets the criteria set down by town council. We just haven't received that final criteria yet.
okay, well then I'll accept the motion to approve what John just said.
so moved,
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
aye,
Aye.
Roll call Sikansky,
aye,
Keep,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next up is to approve the bills and the payroll warrants for W22-8 and W22-8A. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
second,
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye,
Roll call Sikansky,
aye,
Keep,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
And do we have minutes?
We do. We have one set from October 14th, and I want to thank all three of you for reviewing them so quickly.
Any changes?
There were no changes.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
so moved,
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye,
Aye.
Roll call Sikansky,
aye,
Keep,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this ends the open session. We will now proceed into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, for the purpose 2 and 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining for the Teamsters Union, Local 170, and the Bolton Police Union, Local 286, IUPA, AFL-CIO, as the chair finds that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the board's bargaining position, and the board will not be returning to open session. Do I have a motion to move into executive session?
so moved,
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
aye,
Roll call Sikansky,
aye,
Keep,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.